Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Ruben Amorim press conference reaction for Brentford on Sunday. Also, a bit of an update from Fabrizio on Cunha and something I think we need to talk about at the very start. But interesting stuff in Amorim's press conference, literally hot off the press. We've reacted to this straight away. There are players that won't be playing on Sunday who are on the limit. We'll talk about who that is now. We've got to protect these players, wrap them up in cotton wool, put an air hole there, obviously. But yeah, you can't play them. And Amorim talks about the challenges he's got there, the Premier League, the Europa League. We'll get into all of that. But first of all, Fabrizio Romano has retweeted on Twitter or X his initial one from last week, talking about Man United leading the race to sign Cunha, personal terms discussed, etc. A lot of people getting very excited. Ultimately, there is no indication that this is going to get announced today. There is a game for Wolves tonight against Manchester City, and Man United, as per a few hours ago, were not expecting to announce anything today. So who knows tomorrow? Tomorrow is another day. You know, it's close, but don't expect it today. It's probably just been announced. Also, just sticking with that, look, Mazraoui is really very close to injury, according to Amorim. We'll talk about that in a minute. But talking about fullbacks, Dorgu. I was disgusted today, actually. I was on Instagram. He put a post out. I was just looking at the replies. Fix up, guy. You need to do better. You need to learn to cross, this, that, and the other. I know this season we've seen a rise in football fans who seem to be able to think that they can communicate directly with footballers and tell them what to do. They are, you know, in the top 0.01% in the world for making it as a footballer. They have jumped many barriers. They have probably trained every single day. They've probably had numerous situations where their mates have been cut because they weren't good enough. Like they didn't just get parachuted in to play for Manchester United, is what I'm trying to say. From a very young age, they've worked ridiculously hard to get to where they are. That doesn't mean they're going to be good enough, but like, telling them to learn how to cross better is not going to be the thing that takes them to be a legendary player at Manchester United. It's laughable. But look, I think criticism in football is completely and utterly fine. But what I don't think is fine is the inability to understand a scenario. Manchester United have clearly, rightly or wrongly, decided they're going to recruit loads of young players. And they keep telling us that, and that's all great, but Manchester United have a duty of care to these young players. Some people in our fan base have got no understanding that when you buy a 20-year-old, they're not ready. They're not ready, and they're going to have bad games. They're going to have average games. They're going to be doing things that they haven't learned yet. You know, they're not going to be able to do them, sorry. I actually had an Aston Villa fan saying if he's playing badly at 20, he can still be a bad player at 25. Absolutely, exactly. But Jack Grealish at 20 was nothing like the player he was at Villa at 25. And that's the point. We are judging players who are not developed. We are expecting kids to be playing consistently like a prime Patrice Evra. It's not going to happen, and it's an education piece. It's disgusting, really, to see the reaction to these players on social media from Manchester United fans, and we need to do better. Criticism is fine. Dorgu didn't play particularly well against Bilbao. He didn't play particularly well against Bournemouth. That's okay, but the context is, don't write the player off. Don't write the player off. He's a kid, he's learning, he's been thrown into a difficult scenario, and he will get better. And then you're going to be like, you know, this is what I mean. When I look on social media and I see the volume of people saying negative things about him, he's obviously posted that, he might read that, and that can mentally have an impact, can't it? And people will say, oh, you've said this about players in the past. Exactly. I've said it about McTominay, I've said it about Bruno, I've said it about Maguire. But the scenario is a little bit different. They're players predominantly in their mid-20s. They are players that are not kids, and they are not new signings. So I think we just need to remember that we're Man United fans. It's a little bit like Ugarte. People have gone in on Ugarte consistently from day one. The main reason for that is because he wasn't the profile of midfielder the hipsters wanted. They wanted somebody to take the ball off the ball, back four, a la Rodri, and, you know, dictate the play. We didn't buy that profile of player. Don't take it out on that profile of player. Okay? That's just what, you know, I just think it's, after another positive result as well, to go looking for negatives, I just find it a bit strange. I think we can be better. I think we can be more supportive. But this is the route the club are going down. They are recruiting young players. They are recruiting learner drivers. And what's the, why does a learner driver go around with L plates on? Because they're not a proper driver yet. They're learning. They might do a roundabout really, really well. And at the next roundabout, they might mess it up. They are literally learner drivers. They are not the finished article. So you've got to give them some leeway. And if you don't like that, look at the club and their philosophy. We do need more experience, but that's not Dorgu's fault. That's not Garnacho's fault. We do need more experience in the team, definitely. Anyway, let's get into what Amorim said. So on the results in the Premier League, the results in the Europa League and the Premier League will be different. Are the players able to separate the momentum of those two competitions? Presumably you've got to rest players on Sunday. So this is a good question to Amorim ahead of the Brentford game. The Europa League, it's all or nothing. The Premier League is a little bit of an inconvenience. How do you keep the players mentally focused on one and not the other? But obviously they've got to play in both. He said, look, it's really hard. It's hard to separate. We know that we always have a responsibility, but in this moment, we have to take a risk. There are some positions that we don't have more players. For example, Mazraoui cannot play on Sunday. He's in the limit to get an injury. We're going to deal with that and prepare a game against a team that they want to be in the great moment. We always have a responsibility to perform, but Brentford obviously want to win. We have always a responsibility on the result, but in this moment we have to be clear. Our focus is more on saving players and trying to be competitive. It's not a good thing to say, but we need to understand the context. Exactly. We were speaking about this morning, and some of our fans just can't do this. After Lyon, everyone's like jumping around really, really excited. We lose to Wolves, Amorim out. Same thing. We've just beaten Bilbao. Really good result. If we lose to Brentford on Sunday, even ex-players will probably be on national TV, but certainly the mouthy fans will be going, Amorim out, Amorim out. Understand the context. He's warning you before the even game. He can't play certain players because they're on the edge of injury. Mazraoui is on the edge of injury. What does that mean? Well, what it means is the fitness department are basically saying he is at burnout level. He is in the red zone. If you play him for 90 minutes on Sunday and he gets injured, it will be on you. He needs rest. That is where we are with some of these players. Also, Thursday is more important. The Europa League final, if we get there, is just about 2.5 weeks away. If anybody picks up an injury on Sunday, they don't just miss Thursday, they miss the final. 2.5 weeks. What injury are you going to be back from in 2.5 weeks, realistically? So we absolutely have to be in context here. We absolutely have to understand that we may not win on Sunday because we've got to prioritise other things. We haven't got the squad for this at the moment. We haven't. He was asked about Ahmad, who obviously came on for the last 10 minutes against Bilbao. How important do you think it could be for the rest of the season? He said, look, it was really tough on us because when he got injured, he was the player that created all the situations and passed a little bit for Bruno. So to lose a player like that in that moment with a lot of games left in the season was really hard on us, and especially for Ahmad because he was really in a good moment. But he's returning. You can feel that he's not so explosive at the moment, but he's a player with a characteristic left foot, different from Garnacho, that has one-on-one against one, and we don't have many players to do that, so it's a massive for us, and he is one more option to play. I think it's a great point by Amorim. Not only did we lose a very good player, arguably our player of the season, we also lost him at a really important part of the season, and when he was doing really, really well. And that's the way injuries can be. Having him back, absence can make the heart grow fonder. Absence can make you forget. And Ahmad was in a really good time when he got injured, and having him back when he was meant to be out for the season is superb. He won't be sharp yet, but in many ways, I thought maybe get a half decent result against Bilbao and have Ahmad back for the second leg. You're now in a very strong position where you might not even need to start Ahmad in the second leg. It's about minutes. It's about, I'd be looking longer term now. I'd be looking at obviously getting him involved against Bilbao in the second leg, but I'd be speaking to the fitness department and saying, right, instead of having him back for 90 minutes for the Bilbao game, I want to use him in that game, but how do I get him peak for the final? Like, is it just an hour against Brentford, an hour against that, an hour against West Ham, an hour against Chelsea, and then he's ready for the final? That's what I'd be looking to do with Ahmad now, and that's the brilliance of last night's result because he's such an important player. And to have him back is a big boost. He said he was asked you about bringing an expanded squad to Spain. You've played some of the kids before. Are you trying to rotate? I know you mentioned Mazraoui there. What's the thought process heading into this Brentford game? We did take a big squad. We're actually training in Spain today, so there won't be a training game tomorrow, a training session tomorrow, because we're playing at 2 o'clock on Sunday. So the training session for Brentford is actually taking place in Spain. That's why Obi and Kone and some other players went, because he's probably going to pick his team based on this training session. So Amorim said the first thing is that the players that are at risk to get injured will not play, no matter what. Very strong statement, very true. He's not going to play any players that are at risk of getting injured. And I think it's really important to remember again, on Sunday, we're 2.5 weeks away from the final. So you play a player, you're risking them for the final if we get there. So, absolutely they're not going to play. We need to take a risk in not playing them, obviously, and then we're going to assess tomorrow and the next day who are the best players to start the game. Then we have to be careful because we're Manchester United and we cannot go to a game without thinking we can win it. So the process is going to be like that. It's going to be tough, but we passed so many things this year. This one more, let's see. Well, look, I'm going to preview the game on the 8 o'clock show tonight, but I would imagine people like De Ligt start the game. I would imagine, you're going to use Ahmad. I mean, look, I know he's not been very good lately, but if Mason Mount doesn't start on Sunday, there's something really weird going on there, isn't there? I mean, he's been back fit for nearly 2 months, not started a game yet. Surely a player like that, who's 25, 26, comes into this game. You said in March that you were learning how to use Casemiro more and more, and you're really dependent on him in the Europa League run. What have you learned so far using him, and is he someone you hope to work with going forward long term as well? I forgot to mention this on the morning show, actually. Let us know in the comments what you think about, not playing players against Brentford, what you think about the Dorgu situation I mentioned and the Agate situation, and why so many of our fans are getting in their replies and being so negative. But also, Casemiro, let me know your thoughts. A lot of people are saying, should we keep him for another year? There is another context element to this, though. What do you mean, should we keep him for another year? We tried to sell him last summer and he didn't want to go. We tried to sell him in January and he didn't want to go. Even if we tried to sell him in the summer, he might not want to go. Somebody even said on the watch-along, should we keep him for another year on reduced wages? He's got a contract until summer 26. On 350 grand a week. He doesn't need and will not, under any circumstances, take a pay cut for his final year. The contract's there. So this, should we keep him for another year, actually doesn't make sense. He's got a contract for another year on 350k a week. So it's not whether we should keep him for another year. He's very settled in Manchester and he'd said that already. So I don't think you need to worry about whether you want to keep him for another year, because realistically, I think Sir Jim Radcliffe would love to move him on because of the money. You think about the volume of people we're sacking. Of course he's going to move Casemiro on. But I don't think he can move Casemiro on, because I don't think Casemiro really wants to go. And I don't think the money is going to be anywhere else. So I think Casemiro will be here next year. I've always thought that. I don't see us being able to move him on. Having said that, obviously there's a World Cup coming up. Ancelotti's going to be the Brazil manager. I don't think he's going to want to go to Saudi. So I don't think Casemiro's going anywhere. Whether you want it to happen or not, I don't see him going anywhere. This is what Amorim had to say, though. I think he's improved a lot. You can see not the way he plays, but the way he runs. You can see it. We have the data to show him where he worked really hard. He's a very good example. Even Collier sometimes was playing in front of him, and now it's hard to take Casemiro. So it's out the way. So he's basically saying Collier was ahead of Casemiro at one point. So it's a lesson for all the players in Manchester United. No matter what is the past or the last month, everything can change in one moment. Then we understand that he cannot jump all the time pressing high. We need to let him understand, and sometimes it's better to put 3 defenders and let him be the 4th defender and put the wing-backs pressing high. These are all things we're understanding and trying to cope with all the criticisms of the team, but the credit is for Casemiro. I think what Amorim's talking about there is twofold. One, there's always a way back. I think Harry Maguire's shown that. I think Bruno Fernandes has shown that. Casemiro's shown that. The criticism is valid. These people who come along and say, oh, you were slagging him off. Slagging him off or criticising him for playing bad, I mean, what's the right word? Don't really care. He wasn't playing well. He is playing well now. So I think that Maguire, Bruno, Casemiro, prime example that you can be criticised for playing badly, but you can still come back and play well. And secondly, I think, that's a very good message to every player at the club and about having the right mentality. But secondly, I think the Amorim tactical thing is really important. What we saw last season, I saw somebody on social media completely miss the target with this. Casemiro's playing well this year because last year he was on his own in the midfield and now he's not. No. Casemiro played badly last year because, yes, he was on his own in the midfield, but he doesn't have the legs anymore. What Amorim has done has basically let Casemiro sit and made other people around him, like the wing-backs, do the running and the pressing because Casemiro can't do that. He can't get back and forward anymore. And we've all seen that. So it's about conserving his running energy. What Casemiro's done really, really well and isn't about running is the touch. The one-touch passing, the intelligence, playing the right pass at the right time, and then, positioning himself where he doesn't need to be running all over the place. That's tactical, that's intelligent, that's on the player, that's on the manager. He said, you spoke about the difficulties the players face in switching between the Premier League and the Europa League. For you as a coach, what is the biggest difficulty and challenge in managing different competitions? Amorim said the hardest part is for the players to understand that if you play on Sunday, you can play Thursday. This is the first point. It doesn't matter. Then we have to show the importance of every game in Manchester United. Then every position we have in the Premier League, you win more money. So that's important. Oh dear. Then it's fighting for your pride. Of course, we don't have nothing to fight for. We have the second leg, which is really important for us. We know that, but we need to be competitive in every game. God, that's a reply you need to see him actually speak. So the hardest part is for the players to understand that if you play on Sunday, you can play Thursday. Okay. Then we have to show the importance of every game in Manchester. I feel that might be a little bit of a message to. I know who he's probably talking about. So what he's basically saying there is, I think Thursday to Sunday is difficult, but if you play on a Sunday, you can play Thursday. I mean, that's happened for time. How many times do people play on a Sunday and play on a Wednesday? How many times do people play on a Saturday and play on a Tuesday? So you can play Sunday, Thursday, 100%. But maybe Amorim's getting a bit of kickback from players going, oh, I'm a bit sore after Sunday for a Thursday game. Maybe that's what that's all about because, yeah, he's absolutely spot on about that. I don't like this. Every position in the Premier League, you win money, so that's important. I don't like that. I've never known about this before. And I don't like this. It's something that we started to hear about a couple of months ago. If we finish 10th instead of 13th, it's another £10 million. It's really sad. I understand that. Another £10 million, obviously, when you're a club that's got financial problems is really helpful. But I don't want to hear that from the manager of Manchester United when it's all or nothing in the Europa League. He shouldn't have any pressure or any expectation about earning another £3 million in the Premier League by finishing a position higher. Like, you need an ownership that says, Ruben, it's all about the Europa League. It'd be nice if you can climb the Premier League, but we understand, you can't pick your strong team. There should be no thought in Amorim's head about finishing 12th instead of 17th because it's an extra 15 million quid. That's ridiculous because that's when it starts to play on your mind. Maybe I will start this player who's, borderline. He can't have that. It's incredible that he's mentioning that in a press conference that, it's important that we, win more money by finishing higher in the Premier League. And that's his words. It's not. It's really not. You're going to get £100 million being in the Champions League. You're going to jeopardise that by trying to get 3 by playing a stronger team in a Premier League game. We've always got to try and win a game in the Premier League. We always have. But, look, we are 2 games away. You think about it. Before we played Sociedad, we were 2, 4, 7 games away from winning the Europa League. We are now 2 away. So, look, prioritise what's important is my message. Get your comments in. Lots to discuss there. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. We're back at 8 o'clock. We've got Beth's Bilbao vlog coming out this afternoon as well, probably about 5 o'clock. So get ready for that. Something a little bit different. Looking forward to it. But thanks, everyone. Lots for you to get your teeth into in the comments. I'll be reading those as usual. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and we'll speak to you a little bit later. Take care.